The goat's thin. Mary begins going to market alone. It makes sense at first. She trades better than you do. Soft voice, level gaze, a way of bartering that feels like friendship. She returns with cheese, flour, herbs, sometimes a folded scrap of news from Dunwich. Then the errands take longer, the stories shorter. You ask, busy day? She nods, a little. You offer to go with her next time. She touches your hand and says, you'd be bored. It's 3 market days before you follow. Not out of distrust, or so you tell yourself, just a feeling. You walk the back road past the chapel, cross the crooked bridge where the children once fished, and arrive as the town square breathes to life. Vendors shout across linen stalls. Geese honk from cages. The air smells of salt fish and baking bread. Then you see her, Mary, standing near the spice booth. Her braid is looser today, untied at the end. She's smiling, not the polite smile she gives the miller's wife. Something warmer. You follow her gaze. A man, tall, well-kept, and clearly not from here. His tunic is deep blue, embroidered at the cuffs. His boots aren't muddy. His voice carries in a different rhythm, city-born, perhaps even French-touched. He holds a strip of ribbon, pale as spring sky. He says something. Mary laughs, soft and quick like wind through reeds. You turn before she sees you. You walk home the long way past the elder tree down the quiet lane. The bells no longer toll, but the silence is louder. That night you chop wood too late until the handle blisters your palm. Mary sets stew on the table. She says nothing of the market. You force a smile. Get everything we needed? Most of it. She stirs the pot once more. There was a merchant selling lace and ribbons, dear but lovely. You nod. She doesn't look at you. After supper, she lingers at the hearth, the braid still undone. She hums a tune you've heard since childhood. But tonight it feels like someone else is singing. 2 days pass. She returns from market again. No ribbon, no stories, just flour and cloth. Her hands move quickly, as if chores will protect her. You glance at the handle of the water pail, tied neatly to the iron grip, a ribbon. Blue, silk. Knotted once, you untie it, run it between your fingers. It's softer than anything she's ever owned. That night she sits, brushing her hair by the firelight. You try to speak, but the words stop behind your teeth. Sunday, Mass. You both walk the road in silence. You notice the ribbon now, tied at her wrist, tucked beneath her sleeve. Inside the chapel, the priest reads a prayer for King Richard, our boy sovereign. But even he falters. There's no reverence in his voice, only weariness. On the way home, Mary breaks the quiet. He said it matched my eyes. You stop. Who? She hesitates. The merchant, at the market. You nod slowly. He meant no harm, she adds, just words. You don't respond. Later that night, you sit outside the cottage. The stars are thin. Mary joins you, arms folded. I don't want a new life, she says. Not some manor or silks. Then what do you want? You ask. She looks at you, calm but unreadable. I want to be known, not just remembered, she whispers. That evening, you reread the letter from Thomas, still smudged and creased. They keep us in Calais like ghosts. The war drags on, not for land but pride. Most men forget why we're here. France forgets we came. I dream of London now, and I fear what's brewing there more than what flies the fleur-de-lis. You fold the parchment again, press it to your chest. You sit beside Mary, but she doesn't turn to face you. The next morning she hums again while sweeping the floor. You place your hand gently on hers, stopping it. Tell me, you say, if you wanted something more, would you go? She looks up. Her eyes catch the light. I wanted something more the moment I met you. Then she walks past, braids swinging. The ribbon unravels behind her, trailing to the floor. 4 years pass like mist through barley. Seasons shift, graves fill, walls rot and are rebuilt. It is the year of our Lord 1380. You are 33. Mary is 27. She still serves as your maid. And yet, the word no longer fits. She moves through your home like she's always belonged to it. And sometimes you catch yourself wondering if you are the guest. The new notice goes up on the square just after sunrise. Thin parchment, thick ink, a wax seal still soft at the edges. You join the small crowd gathering to read it. Most can't, but they understand anyway. A tax upon every man, rich or poor, the reeve declares. 2 pence for the King's War to be paid within the week. The third one in 5 years, this time no exemptions. A murmur ripples through the village, low, bitter and tired. An old man spits into the dust. 2 pence, might as well cut out my liver. A woman mutters, for France? I have no son left to send. You scan the square. Mary stands just beyond the well, her face unreadable. Later at supper, she breaks the silence. Will you pay it? You chew a bit of bread. I'll pay for myself, but not for the reeve's purse. She sets her spoon down. And if they come, then let them. You try to smile. I'll hide in the goat pen. She doesn't laugh. The next day you help Widow Linny. Her husband's gone, taken by the last collection, dragged out by men with clubs and letters. She holds a shaky quill while you copy the mark of payment from an old ledger onto new parchment. You'll hang for this, she whispers. No, you say, they'll hang us all if we don't start lying back. Mary sees the page before you burn the edges. She says nothing at first, but at night, while the fire burns low, she speaks. I knew a girl once who tried to cheat the tithe. Her brother got whipped for it. You poke the logs and say, this isn't the tithe, this is theft. She's quiet a moment, then says, you're changing. You look at her. Would you rather I bowed? She answers, I'd rather you didn't throw yourself to the gallows for people who won't remember your name. That stings more than you show. The village is different now, heavier, suspicious. Rumours drift in from London. Protests, beatings, arrests. The king, Richard, now 13, is said to be locked in Westminster. Some whisper it's not the peasants they fear, but what the city itself might do if pushed too far. At the smithy, someone curses the court's silver mouths. At the tavern, a voice says, they're raising the dead for Calais, and the rest of us pay the toll. You remember Thomas's letter. He wrote of the 100 Years' War, 100 years of boys dying for banners and kings they'll never see. Calais, a coastal city in France, is still held by English soldiers, barely. Thomas sleeps in mud for a crown that taxes the poor to pay for its wars. One afternoon you hear voices near the well, 2 old women speaking low. She sweeps the stoop like she owns it, thinks her braid makes her clever. I heard her mother was from Norwich, but the father, some convert, Jewish they say, that's why she hides her name. You freeze behind the cottage fence. They don't see you, but Mary might have heard. That night she says little, but when she slices bread, her hands tremble slightly. You clear your throat. I heard what they said. She shrugs. They always say something. You hesitate. Is it true? She sets the knife down slowly. My mother was a healer before the friars came. She meets your eyes. If they called that foreign, then yes, maybe it is. You nod and say nothing more. The next evening you return late from the fields. Mary waits near the fence post, brush in one hand, a broken basket in the other. I can mend it, you offer. I know, she says. You both kneel. Her hand brushes yours as she passes the thread. She doesn't pull it away this time. You both hold the same reed handle. Your hands overlap. She doesn't look up, but she says, "You'll never stop seeing me as what I'm not." You answer quietly, "Then let me see what you are." She looks at you, and for a breath too long neither of you move. Then she withdraws her hand. "We should finish this before dark." 2 nights later, a rider arrives after dusk. Not from the manor, but the road beyond. He wears no colours, only dust. He delivers a folded parchment and nods once. "For the farmer," he says, then leaves. You unfold it beneath the hearthlight. They say the tax in Calais is nothing compared to what bleeds you at home. The war here is cold, Ours is hotter. If the people rise, they'll do it not for a cause, but because they're tired of kneeling to men who feed on their children. If England marches, I will too, even from this side of the sea. It was signed by Thomas. Mary watches from the corner, arms folded. Do you believe him? She asks. I do. She nods slowly. Then tell me something. When you stand for them, who stands for you? You don't answer. She walks into the other room and closes the door. It is now the year of our Lord, 1383. You are 36. The maid with beautiful blonde hair is 30. She still lives in your home, still cooks, still sweeps, still folds the linens by the hearth, but she is no longer just a servant, not to you, not to anyone who sees the way you look at her, even if neither of you has said a word. The summer arrives dry and early. The thatch cracks where it once softened rain. The soil turns to powder beneath your boots. Even the barley groans when the wind passes through. You spend more time in the fields now, not out of duty, but distance. The quiet there feels easier than the silence at home. The maid doesn't hum as much these days. She speaks when spoken to, smiles when expected, but something has pulled taut between you. Not broken, not frayed, just stretched. One morning, while you carry a pail to the well, you hear them again, the villagers, not openly, but near enough that their voices carry over the stones and between the hedges. She's not like the rest, is she? I've heard the mother was a convert. If he had any sense, he'd send her off before the child comes. You stop walking. There is no child, not yet. But the words burn anyway, for what they imply, for what they expect, for what they assume. You turn the corner and see her, kneeling near the elder tree, trimming back the shoots. She doesn't look up. You don't speak. That night you sit across from her at the hearth. The fire is low, the bowl in your hands has long gone cold. She doesn't eat much anymore. She says it's the heat, but you don't believe her. Her voice comes quiet, almost like a thought she didn't mean to say aloud. Do you remember when I first came here? She asks. You nod slowly. You were smaller then, you say, or I was taller. She half smiles. I didn't know how to cook barley. Burned it the first week. You ate it anyway. It wasn't that bad, you murmur. She looks into the fire. You didn't speak to me for 3 days. You try to recall it, but it's blurred now, like an old dream. All you can remember is the scent of ash and her hands, always busy. A few days later, word arrives from the next village over, a friar, preaching not in chapels but fields, not in Latin but English. He says God made all men equal, a miller's boy tells you, that Adam dug the earth same as any man, and Eve spun wool same as any wife. John Ball, that's the name. The nobles call him mad. The lords call him treason. But the people lean in to hear more. You think about the taxes, the coins they still haven't taken, the forged scroll hidden beneath the floorboard. You think about her. She stands in the doorway that evening, wiping her hands on her apron. I heard you're going to the meeting, she says. Not a question, you nod. They asked me to bring grain, you reply, and ears. She folds the cloth slowly, smooths it. Will it help? She asks. You answer without thinking. It has to. She meets your eyes then. Not with challenge, not with softness, just tired certainty. Then bring my name with you, she says, if they're counting who matters. Later that night sleep won't come. You lie awake, listening to the creak of the rafters, the shift of wind through the shutters. Her door is open just a sliver, the way it always is now. You sit up, stretch, cross the floor. She's awake, sitting on the edge of her bed, brushing her hair. She doesn't startle when she sees you. Couldn't sleep, you say. She nods. Nor I. You don't step closer, but you don't step back. She holds the brush in her lap, looks down at it, then says, if they come for you, and you don't come back, I want to know it mattered. It does, you whisper. She places the brush on the table. Then say it. You pause, not because you don't feel it, but because it's too large to hold in one breath. You're the only part of this place that feels real, you say. The land will turn, the crops will fail, the lords will fall, but you stop there. She doesn't smile, doesn't cry, she stands, and without a word, she closes the door. The next day, the meeting takes place in a fallow field beyond the old mill. There are 15 of you, maybe 20, men with tired eyes and cracked boots. A few women too, even a boy no older than 13. A shepherd reads aloud, "When Adam delved and Eve span, who then was the gentleman?" You don't know if it's rebellion or desperation, but when you look at them, the bent backs, the calloused hands, you think, this is the true kingdom. No crown, no throne, just soil and voices, and the promise that maybe, just maybe, something can still grow here. There is a deafening silence now. The fields grow quiet, but not for lack of work. It's a silence that feels listening, as though the soil itself holds its breath. It is the late summer of the year of our Lord 1383. You are 36. Mary is 30. She still rises before you most mornings. You find her at the hearth, brushing her golden hair to one side, twisting it into a knot before the day begins. She doesn't speak of that night, the moment you nearly crossed whatever line had always existed between you. But something has changed. She moves more slowly when you pass. Her gaze lingers a little longer. Not possession, not fear, possibility. The village too has changed. Men who once turned their eyes to the ground now murmur more boldly in the lanes. Old Thomas, the tanner, was taken away 2 nights ago, arrested by the sheriff's men for owning a small parchment of John Ball's sermons. The same John Ball who preaches in fields, who tells anyone who will listen that God never made a lord, that all men were made equal in the Garden of Eden, and only sin and sword divided them after. You heard his words once. Now they pass like wind through the village, through Mary's lips too. If Adam delved and Eve span, she says softly one evening, folding linens by the window, who then was the gentleman? You glance up. That's treason, you know, you murmur. She doesn't look at you. So is hunger, but no one arrests a lord for that. On the 3rd Sabbath of the month, a quiet message spreads among the trusted. There will be a sermon, not in the chapel, but in the far pasture past the old bridge. You were going to go alone, but when you rise that morning, Mary is already at the doorway, her cloak in hand. I won't be seen, she says, but I'll hear what you hear. You walk the long path in silence. The land rolls around you, brown hills and brittle grass, marked by years of failed crops and heavy levies. Since the revolt of 2 years ago, King Richard II has ruled with tighter reins. Only a boy still, barely 16, but already cloaked in iron. His advisers jailing those who whisper rebellion, hanging those who echo the names Tyler or Ball. There are more people than you expect, nearly 30. A few farmers, a mother with 2 sons, one man with a stump for an arm, and him, John Ball. He stands on a low rock, robes dusty, eyes sharp. His beard is wild now, streaked with grey, but his voice could split the sky. You starve and toil so that others may eat your bread. You bow to names written on scrolls while your own name is forgotten. The lords call me heretic, traitor, fool. But I say this, God remembers the hand that works, not the one that bleeds others dry. Mary doesn't move, doesn't speak, but her fingers tighten around the edges of her cloak. And when Ball finishes, she turns to you and says, "He frightens me." You nod. Me too. On the way home, the sun is sinking. You pass the spot where the elder tree grows, the one she trimmed seasons ago, just before the rumours started. She stops walking. "If I hadn't been born here," she says, not looking at you, "if I'd come from somewhere else, would I still be in your home?" You consider it, Then you brush a lock of her hair gently behind her ear. Yes, you say, though I'd have had to fight harder for it. She doesn't answer, but she walks closer beside you the rest of the way. That night the air is thick with the weight of held breath. You sit by the fire. She sits across, darning a sleeve. The knock comes just past curfew. 3 raps. You open the door, expecting perhaps the reeve, maybe a neighbour in need. But it's a boy, covered in dust. His voice trembling. "They killed Thomas," he says. "The tanner?" you ask. The boy nods. "They caught him leaving the pasture. Said he preached. Said he carried the sermons." Mary steps forward from behind you, pale as the moonlight. "Who did it?" she asks. "Not the sheriff," the boy whispers. "It was men in hoods, like priests, but not priests." You reach for the latch slowly. Thank the boy. Send him home, then you shut the door. Mary stands by the fire, staring into it. Her voice is quiet. "How many more will have to die before the king sees us?" You think of Richard II sitting in his tower in Westminster, silk and steel,